From plain to sporty.
So the body kit that's on the Juniper behind me here I got from EV Base. So today's video will be walking you through how I took it from out of the box all the way to on the car. This particular kit actually came in 3 separate pieces that you assemble all together before putting on the car. Really simple, but today's video I'll walk you through how that whole process goes. Then I'll give you a quick review of what I think about the whole thing. So let's get started. Here's the process of putting this little body kit on the car. So as I have it set out, the 3 different pieces here, I have them set right side up the same way they're gonna go onto the car. But you'll see the center pieces click on the 2 outside pieces. Let me show you.
So you'll notice outside of there being a little bit of an overlap area, one side has holes while the other sides have 2 little nubs that fit into those holes. So they'll click together here in the upside down. And then of course I'm gonna add some double stick tape to help hold these together. I'm thinking once this is all together, I want it to look like one piece as much as possible. So that's why I'm really trying to glue these 2 joints together securely. And then I'm gonna flip it over and do the same exact thing with the tape there on the other joint. Then I'm gonna take these 2 screws and run them down into those 2 nubs. The kit came with these screws, but I went ahead and added a couple of my own because I thought they were just a little bit sturdier. And it's important though you're not getting too long of a screw, it'll go through the front of it.
All right, and there she is, all put together. See, that joint looks still nice and clean. That tape didn't really raise it up too much at all.
Now that we have the double stick tape and the screws into place, we've made these 3 pieces into one big body kit. You can start seeing how it's gonna go together. Again, the carbon fiber, the finished side, is gonna be here to the up. Now, if you'll notice across the front of this, there's 6 different holes. All these little holes, of course, are gonna be bolts to go up into the car. Now, below your car, you have 6 different bolts. You're gonna pull them out and put them right back in. I have one out here already to show you. It's gonna look like this. Just a matter of backing these all out, putting this into place, and then putting them all back in. Something interesting, at least on mine, is the 6 bolts across the front were not all the same. 3 of them were a 10mm, and then 3 of them were just like this, which is a Torx, like a T40 bolt. It was every other one. Now it does look like they are the same pretty much thread, so I think they might be interchangeable. Not sure of that, but whatever that's worth.
Let me show you these bolts here underneath. So this first hole you see there is empty. This is the one I pulled the 10mm bolt out earlier to show you all, but over to its right, this one's a Torx bolt. Back to the empty one, then here, another Torx, and then this one again, another 10mm bolt. So I'll slide out here real quick for you. As I keep sliding down the row, another Torx, and then back to the 10mm again. Kind of random how it all works, but nonetheless, they do all come out. And again, like I mentioned earlier, I think they are all about the same. And I just used a little drill with that little Torx 40 bit. Next, I'm just gonna hold this up into place to kind of dry fit. So the next step is to actually put double stick tape on, and I wanna make sure I'm putting this on the outsides, but not overlapping or missing any of that tape. Once I have it off, now I'm just applying this double stick tape. Again, it could be on that extreme outside lip, and then I'm gonna put another roll there on the bottom side. Now this kit came with 2 separate complete rolls of tape. Now I used about 4 inches on each side of those little joints, but it still gives me quite a bit left over. Then my little 2 cents worth of advice, when I put this tape on, I always push really hard while the one side of the tape is still on, because once you get it off, obviously it's really sticky and you can't do that anymore. Okay, then I just pulled the first layer of this double stick tape off. Then I realized I really needed to clean the bottom of my car good. Now, this kit came with some wipes. I decided to use my own. It's just denatured alcohol. It works good. Then it was a matter of pulling the back off this double stick tape. Again, I always find it's best to use a little razor knife to kind of get up that little lip. Then it's a matter of pulling it off. Now I'm just kind of just lining it all up. Double stick tape can be a little forgiving, but ideally you stick it right the first time, because every time you have to re-pull it off and put it back on, it's not going to stick as well the next time. So I just lined it up and I got the 2 more of the center bolts put into place, and then I'm just doing the outside, again using a combination of those 10mm and T40s.
Okay, and she's on. Fits really good. I'm liking that look, and it fits pretty tight to the edge everywhere, which is nice. However, I still wonder if it's not just gonna play a little bit over time. Now, because there's bolts underneath, I have no worry this is just gonna fall off. But I could see that over time that, especially in the front lip, it's gonna hit a lot of wind resistance. You're gonna be going down the highway 70, 80, not me, some people at 100 plus miles per hour. I wouldn't dare. But nonetheless, I'm gonna add a couple things to help secure that. So I'm gonna put a couple little screws. I have a couple little self-drilling or self-tapping sheet metal screws I'm gonna put down through the bottom of these that are gonna go through the plastic down into the little plastic of the car. I think it's gonna help me give just a little bit of stability, and then I'm actually gonna add some silicone. We'll see that next.
So as you'll see here, I just took a bunch of these little 1-inch, very short sheet metal screws and just screwed these into the bottom. Now I did it just at the tip, so I was not only screwing it up to the car, but also kind of like back into the car. And I think this really helped not only hold it on, but actually kind of suck it in really tight as well. And now when I look at it from the outside, you can see it really is sucked in well. There is no gap whatsoever, and it really looks like it came this way, so to speak.
there was no way it was coming off without those little screws. I just think it helps secure it a little bit. So it's definitely good now, but I am gonna add one more measure of safety and security, but almost even more just aesthetics to help hide that little gap in between. Is I did pick up a little bit of black silicone, and I'm gonna run the smallest, thinnest of beads just between that little body kit where it meets the bumper, just to make sure there's no extra little gravel or dust or grime that kind of gets down in there. And also I don't want any kind of little wind resistance. This will help make that little gap totally smooth.
Now I'm using a pretty high grade of exterior silicone here, exterior because it's outside, and the high grade because I want it to adhere, but also when you're using colors, I found if you get something cheap, you would always get the rich color of the color that you're looking to match. Then you'll see after applying this really thin bead of silicone, I'm coming back behind it with my finger and smoothing it all out. They make a million different tools to do this, but in my experience, nothing works better than your finger with a little bit of saliva to help smooth it out. Sorry if that grosses you out. And then after giving it about 15 minutes to set up, I came back and smoothed it out with some actual water.
All right, here she is out in the sunlight, all put on. It's all taped, screwed, and caulked. Be careful saying that a few times fast, might mean something different. But all said and done, looks great. So I like the look from the front, but it's probably even more noticeable with this little lip here on the side. That's probably where I notice it the most. It just kind of stands out and looks different from other cars out there. Quick review, pros and cons. As far as installation, it's very simple. Now, if you have a second person to help you kind of hold it up into place when you're putting those little screws in, great, that would help a lot. Now let's talk about the cons. Well, this is just plastic. Now, I mentioned earlier, I have a carbon fiber look, but it's not actual carbon fiber, it's just plastic with that little painted on finish. And there's probably a good chance at some point I'll end up painting this. Subscribe, because I will do this at some point. But all that being said, it is still a thin plastic. If you hit this on something, it's gonna break. Why wouldn't it? And on that same note, it is going to be much easier to hit this on the front of the car than it was without it, because it both sticks out farther than it did before and it sticks slower. Specifically, I've noticed just the day driving it around, I'm going to need to be very careful pulling up to like curb stops, because this would definitely hit those. All right, the fit. To me, the fit is really good. It fits totally snug in there. All the little holes lined up just right for me. The tape is gonna hold it. Again, you saw that I put those extra screws and then eventually that little bead of silicone. I think that's the way to do it, but you wouldn't have to. It would totally be fine without either of those. I just think in time you might get just a little bit of rattle while your car is moving. So some of the pros that I started with earlier is it does help distinguish my car a little bit from other cars out there. Again, this is probably gonna be the best selling car in the world again, if not one of the top 2 or 3. So I like it to be a little bit different. This definitely is that. It's definitely a much sportier look, a noticeable sportier look. I like that also. And in theory, it potentially could save you gas mileage, although I don't know if I'm buying into that one yet. Now, I got the carbon fiber finish only because I already have several things in my car, like a steering wheel's carbon fiber, and I'm gonna be adding other additional body kits. For example, I know they make some wheel flarings. I'll be adding those in a future video. Again, another reason to subscribe. And of course, you've seen quite a few cars out there that make the little spoiler that goes around the back. I have one of those on order that's also carbon fiber. I'll install that for you also in a future video. And lastly, the install process, super simple. It took me about 20 minutes. If you're not used to this kind of thing, it might take somebody, I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour, maybe an hour and a half. But if you get somebody to help you out, you're going to cut that time down. I'm going to go ahead and recommend it. Probably something you might want to throw on yours. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. I'm installing that spoiler pretty soon.